Just trying to keep up with AI lately, it really feels like a full-time job, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Every single day there's something new, a new tool, a new headline.
Exactly. And if you're running a business or working in one, you're probably thinking, okay, what actually matters here? What's really going to move the needle?
Right. It's easy to get swamped by all the noise, the hype.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we wanted to do, well, what we do. A deep dive into some solid research to
Well,
see what's genuinely happening on the ground.
perfect. And for this one, we're digging into the 2025 Generative AI Survey. It's from the Writer and Workplace Intelligence.
Yeah, and what's great about this one is they talk directly to 1,600 knowledge workers.
Right, a big group.
Yeah,
Yep.
split right down the middle, 800 execs, C-suite folks, and 800 employees. So you get both sides.
Getting that comparison is key, isn't it? Seeing the view from the top versus, well, the reality for the people using the tools day to day.
Exactly. It helps us see where things line up and maybe more importantly, where they don't.
So the mission here is basically cutting through the buzzwords.
Pretty much finding the real challenges, the actual opportunities that companies are facing right now with AI adoption based on what people are actually experiencing.
And spoiler alert, the findings were pretty interesting, maybe even a bit surprising.
Definitely some eyebrow raisers in there.
Like you'd think AI is just empowering everyone, especially leaders, but nope. The survey suggests it's actually causing some major friction at the top.
Big time. And then there's this whole generational thing with employees, really different reactions depending on age.
Okay, let's start with that leadership divide then. That sounds, well, juicy.
It really is quite something. Get this. Nearly 2 out of 3 executives said they're seeing tension, actual division in their leadership teams because of generative AI.
Wow, two-thirds. That's a lot. That's not just a few grumbles.
No, it's significant. And it gets even more intense.
How so?
Well, 42% of those executives felt AI is actively, quote, tearing their organization apart.
Tearing them apart. Those are strong words. That points to some serious internal conflict.
Absolutely. It suggests deep disagreements, maybe power struggles happening right at the top.
So, what's driving that? Why is AI causing such conflict among leaders?
The report points to a few key things. First off, just confusion over who owns the AI strategy. Is it IT? Is it the CMO? Is it the
Or
CEO?
the classic who's steering the ship problem?
Exactly. If
Okay.
everyone has their own little AI project or budget, maybe they're even using competing tools. Well, you can see how that creates chaos and tension.
Yeah, fragmented efforts, duplicated work.
Perfect.
Frustrating.
Totally. Then there's the sheer speed of change. AI is forcing workflow shifts really quickly, and maybe some departments are lagging or resisting, causing friction between leaders.
And I guess just general resistance to such a massive change. Some leaders might be skeptical, others all in.
Precisely. So you've got unclear ownership, rapid changes, and internal resistance all bubbling up at the executive level.
It really forces that question the report asks. Who does own AI? Because without that clarity,
Risk fragmented, even counterproductive initiatives.
yeah.
Lots of wasted energy and money potentially.
Okay, so that's the view from the top, kind of messy. What about the employees? How are they reacting?
Well, here the picture is a bit more mixed, maybe. There's definitely some really positive stuff.
Okay.
The survey found that 77% of employees already using AI are either what they call AI champions, like really enthusiastic building things, or they could become champions. They're keen.
77%. That's huge. That's a massive pool of potential internal advocates, people ready to run with it.
It's incredibly encouraging, isn't it?
Yeah.
These are the people actively using it, seeing the benefits, wanting to get more involved. They could be key to wider adoption.
Showing their colleagues, hey, look what this can do for us.
Exactly. Peer-to-peer learning and advocacy. But
There's always a but.
there's always a but. The survey also found something pretty concerning on the other end of the spectrum.
Which is?
41% of Gen Z employees, so the youngest cohort in the workforce, reported actively sabotaging their company's AI strategy.
Whoa, hang on. Sabotaging. Actively working against it. 41% of Gen Z.
Yep. Not just hesitant, but actively undermining it. It really throws that generational divide into sharp relief.
That's... Wow. Why? What's behind that? Fear. Resentment.
The survey doesn't spell out the exact reasons for sabotage, but it points to that generational perception gap. For some, AI is opportunity.
Hmm.
For others, maybe it's fear of job loss, ethical concerns, or feeling like this tech is being pushed on them without their input.
Or maybe they feel their own digital skills are being overlooked or devalued, or they weren't involved in picking the tools.
Could be any or all of those things. It screams, a need for much better change management, more transparency, more inclusion. You can't just roll this stuff out.
Clearly not, especially if almost half your younger workforce is actively fighting it. Okay, so we have leadership tension and this employee split. What about how AI is being developed? Is that smooth?
Well, based on the survey, not really. There seems to be a major structural issue.
Which is
Silos. Big surprise, right. 72% of executives said AI solutions are being developed in isolation.
72%. So IT's doing its thing over here, maybe marketing's experimenting over there, and they're not talking.
Pretty much. Or it's happening within specific departments, but there's very little cross-functional teamwork.
That just sounds like a recipe for disaster, or at least inefficiency. How can you build something coherent for the whole company that way?
You really can't. Not effectively. You miss out on different perspectives, different needs. You can't create a scalable, enterprise-wide strategy if everyone's building their own little AI kingdom.
And how does that impact the employees who are supposed to use these siloed tools?
Well, it connects directly to another finding. Nearly half of employees feel like they're just left to figure AI out on their own.
No support, no training.
Limited support, unclear guidance, not enough training. Basically, here's a new tool, good luck.
Ouch. That's not going to encourage adoption, is it? Especially for those who are already hesitant.
Exactly. If the tools aren't developed with the end user truly in mind, and there's no proper onboarding or support, it just widens that gap between the champions and everyone else. It feeds the confusion and the resistance.
So it sounds like the tech itself isn't even the main problem here.
That's one of the clearest takeaways from the research.
Yeah.
The biggest barrier to becoming, an AI-first company isn't the algorithms or the software. It's adoption, just getting people to actually use it effectively and integrate it into how they work.
That makes sense. You can have the best tool in the world, but if nobody uses it or uses it badly...
It's useless.
Uh-huh.
Or worse. And the numbers back this up. Over 70% of execs said they face significant adoption challenges.
70%. And didn't you say some were calling their AI journey a disappointment?
Yeah, over a third, more than 33%, described it as a massive disappointment. Think about that investment, the hype leading to massive disappointment.
That's rough. And the reasons trace back to what we've been talking about.
Yep. The report links it back to those power struggles, the lack of training, unclear roadmaps, poor communication. It's the organizational stuff, the human stuff.
People, process, purpose, not just technology.
Exactly. Which leads nicely into sort of the report's core message about the way forward.
Okay, so how do companies fix this? How do they move past the disappointment and the division?
Well, the report puts it quite nicely. The future belongs to the enterprises that can turn AI enthusiasm into business reinvention.
Turn enthusiasm into reinvention. So take that energy from the champions.
And channel it. Move beyond just playing with cool new tools and actually integrate AI into how the business runs.
To actually change things. Improve productivity, personalize workflows, maybe find totally new ways of creating value.
Right. But that requires a really deliberate, holistic approach.
Yeah.
Not treating AI like some side project or just an IT initiative.
It has to be core strategy.
Core strategy, woven into the fabric. You need IT, business leaders, frontline staff, all aligned, all collaborating.
That holistic view really connects with the insights from SBE Concepts, doesn't it? Their whole focus seems to be on bridging that gap.
It does. They really hammer home that it's about people, process, and purpose alongside the tech. Their approach with open source AI seems designed precisely to break down those silos we talked about.
How so?
While they focus on collaborative implementation, getting everyone involved from the start, they talk about role-based access, so the right people have the right tools, securely.
Secure data is obviously key too.
Crucial. Building trust. And then importantly, custom training and onboarding, not one size fits all, but tailored to different roles.
Plus ongoing support, right? It's not just train and done.
Exactly. Continuous support and optimization. It's a journey, not a destination.
So really, it all comes back to the idea that AI success isn't just about buying software.
Not at all. The survey makes it crystal clear. Success hinges on good strategy, solid coordination, clear communication, and a genuinely people-first approach to implementation.
Without that, you just get, well, tearing apart and massive disappointment.
Pretty much. The tech's potential is huge, captivating even, but the human and organizational factors, they're what actually determine if you unlock that potential or just create more headaches.
Okay, so for everyone listening, The big takeaway from this deep dive seems pretty clear. Yes, generative AI is exciting, its potential is undeniable,
Hmm.
but getting it right in your organization, that's complex. It's as much about your people and your processes as it is about the technology itself.
Absolutely.
This survey really shines a light on those critical areas. Getting leadership on the same page, properly engaging all your employees, and definitely breaking down those internal silos.
Which leads us to, I guess, the final thought for reflection.
Yeah, something for you, the listener, to chew on. Considering all these findings, the leadership splits, the champions and the saboteurs, the silo problem, the adoption struggles.
What's the single biggest shift? The most important change in mindset or maybe strategy that your organization needs to make right now?
To really bridge that AI adoption gap, to actually leverage this technology instead of being torn apart by it.
It forces you to think hard about those human elements, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where does your organization need to focus first to make AI work for everyone?
SBE Concepts, we are deeply invested in your success.